2025 meeting of the Coalition of Little Rock Neighborhoods. We are live streaming this event and we will post the recording on our Facebook page at clrn.ar. Come on up to this table, darling. Please. Okay. Everyone's welcome at the table. We'd like to introduce ourselves first, so going around the table. I'm Kathy Wells. I'm president of the coalition. I'm also with the Downtown Neighborhood Association.
I'm Mary Hemthorne, Ward 4.
And I am Robert Wofford in Ward 3.
My name is Crystal Amos, and I live in Ward 4 as well.
Welcome.
My name is Virgil Miller. I'm the Little Rock City Board of Directors. I represent Ward 1.
Norman Hodges, Ward 3.
John Vandiver, Heights Neighborhood Association, Ward 3.
Will Jones, Prosecuting Attorney for Pulaski and Perry County.
LaShanna Bruce, Restore Hope, 100 Families Initiative.
Sharon Baker, Ward 5. Marge Durgan, Ward 5.
Kim Powell, University Park, Ward 6.
Welcome all. Ms. Bruce, did you need some setup for either the screen or the whiteboard? We talked about that.
No.
So you're good.
I'm good.
Okay, great. We respect the fact that Director Miller has another engagement to whip off to. So let us hear from him on the bailout in Madison Heights, if we might.
Well, I can only tell you what I've read in the paper and what I've heard from a couple of the members of the commission. The good news is that I believe yesterday the Metropolitan Housing Authority received word from HUD that they are no longer labeled as a troubled agency, which, as you know, that is a big deal. And so it's very good news. And so at this point, they are working towards getting their loan refinanced, as I understand it. I believe Southern Development Bank, Karen Williams Bank, is part of a group that's looking at refinancing that debt. I believe they had to pay about $300,000. I call it earnest money, or good faith money, to get an extension so that they can try to work out the financing. I don't think it's a done deal, but it's very close, hopefully, at this point. So that's good news for Madison Heights. And that's all I know about Madison Heights at this point. So, again, I think that's good news.
Is there any other topic of civic activity you can bring to us today?
Well, I mean, there's always things to talk about in the city, but I can...
Accessory dwelling units ordinance that was derailed Tuesday night and will come back August 19th.
Well, as you know, we did have a city board meeting last Tuesday. There were several items of probably interest to just different people that we had there dealing with the pillar that was damaged with the Clinton pedestrian bridge that we've taken some action on. We talked about ADUs, accessory dwelling units. That's going to be discussed further on August the 19th. The proposed development at Hanger Hill that Mike Orndorff is proposing. We heard a lot from neighbors that were in opposition to that, as you know. He's proposing to build 4 tiny homes on one lot with no off-street parking. And there was a groundswell of neighbors that aren't against development. I think that's important to know. But they are concerned and opposed to 4 dwellings with no off-street parking. Imagining scenarios where there may be 2 people in a dwelling, and they would have 2 cars. And so if you're looking at it from that standpoint, that's 8 additional cars on the street. If you go down to the 1500, 1600 block of Hanger, and I've spent considerable time over the last 3 months there. That street can get pretty crowded, so they're concerned about that. So that was discussed there. Of course, we had commission appointments and various things that we deal with in the city. Of course, you know, the major reason I come to these meetings is to learn. I always say, and this is a Virgil Miller phrase that you'll hear me say over and over again, I don't learn anything when I'm talking. I learn a lot when I'm listening and reading, and so that's, to me, a major benefit of coming to this Coalition of Little Rock Neighborhood meeting, and as well as going to other meetings. You learn a lot when you're listening as opposed to talking. So I'll here to answer any questions that anyone may have for me, but quite frankly, I'm here to listen as much as what I can.
Can you confirm that 2123 Ringo was withheld from the demolition approval list Tuesday night? Because
Yes.
everybody missed the fact that it's historic to the Dunbar Historic Neighborhood, and now they're playing catch-up?
Yes, it was it's designated as a significant, as a
Contributing
historic
structure.
I guess the term is contributing structure, and so it was taken off the demolition list, although there is not a developer who stepped forward to take on that project. But as you know, you will lose your designation if you fall below 50% of contributing structures. And so we try to save as much of contributing structures as we can and make a note of that. We will be putting some process in place to flag information on structures, particularly in that area, that are contributing. That one sort of slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, we're real troubled about that. I'm glad to hear they're going to attend to the process.
But it was noted, and so it's been taken off the demolition list at this point, and we are going to look to try to find someone to help develop that. So yes,
Good news.
I can confirm that.
Good news. Thank you. Do we have any other questions for Virgil?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll just comment that the hangar thing was before the city board because the planning commission rejected it, and it was on appeal from the planning commission.
That's a good
Yes,
point.
the developer's appealing. That's right. That's right.
The planning commission denied it, and the staff recommended denial based on our ordinances. Some people think maybe the ordinances probably need to be looked at again, but it is an appeal to the city board.
All right. Circling back around to accessory dwellings, there was an ordinance. It was pulled down when they realized there was a missing paragraph of information. It was hastily written that day because I looked at the Tuesday agenda Tuesday morning, and it was not there. And Tuesday afternoon, it was an M2 addition to the agenda, but as it happened before it came up for formal activity, there was a glance over it, a realization it had lost a paragraph, and it was deferred to August 19th. That is a great comfort to those of us who are very troubled by this whole process in many ways. One of the things I'm going to start around now is the fact that we confirmed this survey they put out, getting citizen comment, which had been shut down August 1st, has been continued through the end of August. So I'm going to pass this around. Just take a picture with your phone as we are doing these days, and go take that survey. Get it in record, please, because we have a real important job to make sure they do this process with us and not to us. And in that vein of hastily giving some other city business before you, we have a sewer rate hike coming. And I extracted their list of, if you can look at your bill and see what your consumption is, you can tell what your bill will be. And I'm going to pass around their fact sheet also. so you can take a picture of it and get connected back to it. We are scheduled to hear from the sewer company officials about this rate hike at our next meeting, September 13th. So we have that information coming to us. And one of the things that I want to do before the speaking starts here is, in addition to welcoming our prosecutor, Mr. Jones, who is our main speaker, we have LaShanna Bruce and her helping organization, which is the kind of a thing we all want to know about, Restore Hope. And there's a flyer that they put out, and I want this to be something that everybody can connect to. So let me pass those around. And that rather fits a bit with what we have been learning about through Angela Tolbert since May. She's very concerned about something that is persistent and intense and runs 5 years and would collect the first 500 most troublesome juveniles to try and intervene with a category of 5 adults supporting family and the teen. And this Search Institute assets list is what she provided for us to consider how the neighborhoods can fit into all of this. So I'm going to pass this around, and you're welcome to keep it if you would like to see how that matches with you. But basically they have some decades of research, and they've come up with a list of 40 assets of character and accomplishment and engagement in self and engagement in community. And if the teen has 11 positives, they're on the right track. And if they have fewer than that, they are a target for improvement. So that's what we're working on, and we hope to fit it in with what you're doing, because it seems wonderful what you're doing. So let me pass that around. And at this point, we are now going to call on Prosecutor Will Jones, who has been a leader in a 3-part series of discussions in the community about reducing gun violence using a Pine Bluff model that's been very successful. The first of those meetings has occurred. The next 2 meetings will occur on August the 27th and September the 24th. And I'll get particulars on that out. I've gotten one out, and I'll get a reminder out to everybody sooner to the date. So at this point, we would like to hear from Prosecutor Jones and Ms. Bruce. Thank you very much for coming today.
Well, I'll speak now, but I want to make sure to take a picture of this myself.
You can take that. I print that out just for you.
Oh, okay, good. No, I appreciate that. Okay, I think this would be great information for us as well. Well, thanks so much for having us this morning. This is a subject that I could sit here and talk about for a long time, so I don't know exactly how much time you have, and I want to be respectful of your time.
We go typically until 11:30 or noon,
Okay.
so don't feel too pressed.
Okay. So I'll just begin with, we came into the office, and I was elected and took office in January 23, and that was after the deadliest year ever in the history of Pulaski County. That's surpassed the year before, which was the deadliest year, and so 21 and 22 were the 2 deadliest years ever in Pulaski County. So we knew that we had to take a different approach. We knew that the traditional role of prosecution and law enforcement and all, we had to think of a different way to do things. We just couldn't sit back and react anymore. We had to figure out a way to kind of insert ourselves earlier into the process and see if we could stop some of these violent acts before they occur. And that's really hard. It's not been what is a traditional prosecutor role. And the traditional prosecutor role, we were overwhelmed. I came in the office, we had over 14,000 cases, and that's because of COVID. And during the 2 years of COVID here in Pulaski County, the courthouse was essentially closed. We just weren't there weren't really any trials. I think literally there's only 4 or 5 trials over a 2-year period. And if you're not having trials, you're not getting cases resolved, and cases just piling up, and that's what happened. And so we were overwhelmed about the workload. We have attorneys now that have over 400 cases each, and that's just not sustainable. It should be. I mean, if you have 200 cases each, it's hard to, to do justice to the victims of those. But then when you add on top of that, and now the courts are back, and we're trying to work harder and all this, so that the work that we're doing is already overwhelming. We tried over 60 jury trials this year, and we had 300 jury trials set in the first 2 months of this calendar year, and that's just, it's an impossible workload, and that's with the traditional prosecutor role that has always been done. And so, in addition to that workload, we decided to take on some extra and try to intervene earlier. And Casey Beard, who's not here today, but she's Ms. Bruce and I were talking about her just a minute ago, and she is, we hired her to bring her into our office, and she was a long-time 20-year public defender in our juvenile courts, and we brought her in because we felt like she could help us with our vision of how we intervene in the lives of the youth, because that's really how we're going to make change, right? By the time someone gets to be an adult and committing violent crimes, it's the process to turning their life around typically is going to involve a lot of incarceration and a slower process. But if we can get to the youth and keep them from filling the role of the others that are committing the violence, then I think we've got a real chance. And so that's why we brought her in, and she has an unbelievable amount of energy and drive, and she helped us, along with our Chief Deputy Kelly Ward, who this is really her vision, and we just decided that we thought we could do better. So the 2 years before I came here, I was the Chief Deputy down in Pine Bluff, and I developed a great relationship with Judge Ernest Brown. And he started, as soon as I got elected, I was still down there for 6 months, finishing my time, and he started talking to me about this GBI. He was in the process of getting it to Pine Bluff at that time. It takes a little while to get assessed and get going, but he was very excited about it. We had visits and conversations about it, and if I went back through my text on my phone, I could show you so many texts where he was giving me information as soon as I got here, and very encouraging. Once Casey came into our office, I connected those two, and then that's where this is really started through the involvement with him. And so GBI is Group Violence Intervention. It's a national strategy that's been around for many, many years. The first time I heard of some of this strategy was back when I was at the AG's office, working with the West Memphis team for the Violence Reduction Network. And it's kind of evolved through the years since then, and now it's in its current form, and it's been used in cities all over the country. I mean, it's Baltimore, Philadelphia, places like that have seen significant reductions in gun violence with this strategy. And Pine Bluff has used it to great use, and when I was down there, juvenile violence, especially violent crime with guns, was horrible. I mean, it was just running rampant through that community and really hurting that community. Well, once they got the GBI strategy in place, they didn't have a juvenile homicide for over 550 days. I mean, that is like, it's just unbelievable, the progress and the success that Pine Bluff had. And so, we've been communicating back and forth, and so proud of their efforts and their team. And our Chief Deputy and I even joined their team for a site visit into Jackson, Michigan, to see how Jackson, Michigan had used this program to reduce their violence. And it's been, the teamwork on this has been so overwhelming. So at some point, Casey got involved with Restore Hope and Paul Chapman and Ms. Bruce's group, and they really started helping the push, because GBI, the initiative as a whole, and I kind of feel like I'm bouncing around, and forgive me, I was in a couple of murder trials until about 10 o'clock last night in Perry County, so I didn't get home and get to bed until really late.
That's okay. You're basically going on autopilot and remembering a previous speech. I remember it well.
Okay, good.
Keep
good.
going.
You
Keep
correct
going.
me if I'm missing anything. So the GBI strategy, it really is something that attacks the problems from both ends and offering solutions that everyone can get on board with. It is making sure that in the traditional prosecution sense and in ending the violence and reacting to the violence that's happening now, we make sure that we do that better. And that is, there are shooting reviews and things like that with law enforcement and multiple law enforcement groups getting together and identifying who the people are that are doing the shooting and causing the problem. The reality is, I mean, we've heard different numbers, but I think most people agree, and most folks in law enforcement agree, that there's probably a group of 200 people or less, probably closer to 100 people, that are responsible for about 90% of violence. I see Director Miller shaking his head, he's aware of this as well. And so what this approach is it targets that group of people who are either committing the violence or on the verge of going down that path and committing the violence. And
Which ties within what Angela Tolbert's instructing us to pursue, the 500 worst troublesome.
exactly. Same
Catch them
principle.
quick. You're catching them when they commit a crime and they're arrested and they're moving into the formal criminal justice process. She is focused on those who have been in the process, they're known to the authorities, but trying to reach them before that final act of violence occurs. So we see a real connection between what she's proposing and you are doing. Thank you.
Exactly. Well, and the GBI process is, and that's why we need to salute Ms. Tolbert as well. I mean, that process that identifies those, and then the ones that have kind of crossed the line and gone too far and caused so much harm, they have to receive the punishment. I mean, that's the way that has to go. But those that are on the path and on the verge of getting that, we can hopefully turn their life around. We can give them some solutions to allow them to turn away from that life and encourage them. And that's going to be it's not an easy process. That's why this GBI is probably a 2-year initiative to get it up and going fully. But it has had so many results in so many places. So we were at a national conference in Kansas City about a month ago, and the prosecutor up there in Kansas City, they have been using GBI. And she showed some research that kind of it matched with what I had always thought, that the number one deterring factor for people that commit crimes is the certainty of getting caught. That's the number one factor. It wasn't ultimately what the sentence is going to be, because if you don't believe you're going to get caught, then you don't really believe that the ultimate punishment is going to happen to you. It's really the certainty of getting caught. And that's something we felt like we knew when we came into the office, and we had changed some things around to make sure that when people commit crimes, we're building cases in a way that we can hold them accountable for that. And we want people to know that and not have, commit a crime and then, well, we're going to wait 4, 5, 6 months and decide if we think we have enough to charge them. Well, how many more crimes could they commit if they've gotten away with, say, a murder, and they're not apprehended for 6 months or a year? What message is that sent to them? It's like I'm bulletproof. Nobody's coming for me, so I'll just keep continuing this behavior. So GBI helps with making sure we identify those folks, make sure that law enforcement is sharing information so that we can react and have swift consequences for those that commit the acts. However, the other end of that is that we can identify those folks that are on that path. Then we literally, there's different models, but one of the formulas is we have call-ins. So we got people that we know have been involved in some peripheral stuff or involved in the groups that are committing the violence, and we get them in and say, hey, we know who you are. We're paying attention to you. We don't want you to go down this path. We're going to offer some jobs. We're going to offer education. We're going to offer help from the community. And that's where groups that's where it's the whole community as a whole has to come and wrap around. We have to have community partners, and we have to be sharing information and talking to each other. And when we identify somebody like that, there's even part of this has a fund for we get somebody here that has, a young child that's going back to school, they don't have the things that they need to get them there and all this, and they think that, running these streets in this life, the only way I can get money, they say, well, okay, we'll help you there. I mean, we have some ways to do that. Even there's a fund in there for it, depending on how we set it out, where if we know somebody is in this back and forth retaliation thing, we know, look, you and your family are on the hit list. If we don't get you out of town, you're probably going to be dead, or you're going to end up committing violence yourself. And so literally, in some of these things, they'll put them on a bus ticket to another town, let them have a cooling off period for 2 to 3 months. It literally is connecting with the folks that we're targeting. And I don't mean targeting in the way of, hey, we're coming for you, but targeting in the way of trying to help them before they get there. There's all sorts of resources and help.
And one of the things you'll see are hash marks on that 40 list. And that was something that we had worked out with Angela when she spoke with us. We are, shall we say, not the caped crusaders on the front lines with the bulletproof vest. We'll leave that to you folks. But when you look at the low self-esteem item, which is obviously very famously known, we looked at the back-to-school calendar we're coming up on, now here. We looked at how often haircuts made a real difference to teen males in their self-esteem. And that's something we could do because they're not cheap these days. And we have a little bit more cash than the folks who are trying to contribute pencil and paper to back-to-school events. And so we targeted that, and at least 3 groups I know of amongst our group put cash into haircuts for back-to-school events. And that's the kind of thing that we can keep in and year out. That is a contribution that we can target to maybe the most troubled teens and get their haircuts. That sharing information could take us there. But this was something that we could do right now tangibly with our resources and contribute on a long-term basis.
Absolutely. And so it really is looking at, and again, I'm so glad that Bruce is here because, that Restore Hope has a part of their program is Smart Justice, and it's really being smart about how we solve the problems and help the people that are in these troubled times and areas that lead to violence. And so we know a lot of times what are the factors, a lot of the factors that lead people to think that this way of life is the only way. And so what we're doing with this is we're surrounding with people that can help in different ways. And the Jackson, Michigan visit that we went on in Pine Bluff they literally brought in their code enforcement, housing folks. They went all the way kind of back to the roots, and they were revitalizing neighborhoods and getting neighborhoods better and everything because people feel more pride in where they work. They're less likely to get into violence. I'm telling you, this thing, I see so many heads nodding around the room because it is so exciting because it's a strategy that lets everybody have a seat at the table. Everybody that's working in different areas, well, they have a lot that they can offer here. And so there are so many things that, housing and helping, those are not things that we can do at the prosecutor's office, right? So that's why we have to rely on our community partners. But, getting justice for the families that have been hurt by the violence and trying to, send a message to some of those folks that this is what's coming for you, those are things we can do. Another part of this is that we have, and it's a super important part of this whole process, is the GBI model has what we call credible messengers. So we're talking about people with lived experience. We're talking about people that have gone down this path. We're talking about, and these are a lot of them are people that we've worked with in our office that have literally spent time in prison for murder. But they're back in the community now, realizing the error of their ways, trying to talk to the next generation to keep them from going down that path. So a credible messenger has a message that I don't have. They just don't. And when they sit down with someone that from the same area that had the same problems and the same upbringing and all that, they can help prepare them for, if you don't turn away from this life now, I know where it leads. And it's just a different message. So it's, again, I'm so excited about it because it's bringing so many people together from so many different avenues. And it's people that wouldn't necessarily be in the room, right? I mean, we hosted, not too long after I was in the office, we had a group of, I think it was 5 fantastic men who have all served time in prison for murder. And we were sitting around the table asking them, how do we keep other people from going down your path? And we were all looking at each other like, I can't believe we're sitting here at the table together. I mean, because some of those were people that our office had prosecuted. I mean, we were literally sitting on another side of the table from them.
Well, that is a wonderful descendant of previous efforts in this community that go back to this famous HBO Banging in the Rock video about gangs in the 90s. And those people were caught and went in and came out, and now graybeards all are on the streets of Little Rock attempting this sort of thing too. So it's a model we know.
Well, I get a devotional every morning from Brother Al. And Brother Al was caught up in that. He went to prison during the Banging in the Rock days. And the 9:16 this morning, I got my daily devotion from him, and I haven't responded yet. So he's going to be later. He's going to be like, "You not reading this morning?" So yes, I mean those are things that we're trying to do. That is just again kind of outside the normal prosecution role, just because just.
Or maybe it should be part of the new prosecution model.
And that's what we have, and so we've got a group of people now in our office that all embrace and understand this new way of doing it. Unfortunately, with the overworking and then the overwhelming caseloads and all that kind of stuff, and then kind of trying to have a different vision for the office, we had a lot of people that didn't want to stick around for that. I'll just be honest. I've hired over 60 attorneys in an office that has 51 deputy prosecutor positions, and I hired over 60 attorneys in the 2.5 years that I've been here. But the thing is, now that we have a group of people that are all on the same path and they embrace what we're trying to do, and it's just so overwhelming to see all of the support and we, with our partners at Restore Hope, and when Paul Chapman and them got involved in this GBI discussion, they really helped push it forward and really get what they're known for is they do this all the time. They bring people together and play on their strengths, and they've really shown their true colors in this particular model, because they have really gotten behind and pushed it and got a lot of people to the table to have conversations. And we believe it's confident enough. We're speaking about it publicly now, that we believe the money is coming, and that we will be by this fall in an assessment phase for group violence intervention. And I'm just so excited for where it can go.
Tell us a bit about Paul Chapman and how he fits into this.
Well, I may should turn it over to Ms. Bruce now for that. But I knew of him and knew some of their work years ago, and certainly was impressed about that. But then we really I don't remember exactly when we got into the heavy part of working together.
I think
After Pacey came in.
Casey came in, and you guys were turning, just doing a different approach to prosecuting, and we actually got involved. I think, my part in this as the county coordinator for 100 families of Pulaski County. Paul Chapman actually started Restore Hope and the 100 Families Initiative in Fort Smith. There was a high prison, a high number of people going into prison, which ultimately led to a high number of children going into foster care, so that correlation between the two. At the time, Governor Hutchinson was the governor, and he actually started a huge, it was called Restore Hope. It was a Restore Hope summit, per se. It was a Restore Hope summit. He challenged the community, all the community resource partners, churches, nonprofits. He challenged everyone in the community to help with recidivism and the high number of children that were going into foster care. And the goal was to get families home and help them not return to prison, and actually get children back home. So reunification. Paul Chapman wrote a letter, actually did a whole dissertation. He was studying collective impact and collaboration back then. He presented that paper to the governor at the time, and the governor actually liked it and basically told him, if I were to give you, or to help you get funding, could you go do what this is that you said that you can do in a year? If there are numbers proven that this can happen, and we can see into how we can help get this up and going. So the challenge was to go to Fort Smith, because at the time the numbers for that were the highest. The highest number of people getting arrested or in prison, and the number of children in foster care. So what Paul had was what we call now Hope Hub. Hope Hub is a system. We provide a communication platform. It's actually a system, computer system. And with the 100 Families model, we assess families. We have family advocates that assess families in 13 areas of social determinants. What we were seeing was, if a family is in one area of crisis, in one of the areas of social determinants, they're in at least 4 or 5 areas of crisis in those 13 areas, which are, let me see this for you. So the resources in the community, in the crisis area, the social determinants area, housing, recovery, employment, transportation, education, mental health, physical health, safety, dental, money management or finance, food, child care, and legal assistance. We noticed that if the family is suffering in crisis with housing problem, then they're suffering in other areas, and that may be child care, transportation, treatment, and food, right? So all of the wonderful resources in the community, they do what they do, but they do what they do well, but cannot do the other things, like you were saying, Will. The prosecuting office, they do what they do, but they can't provide housing.
We call that silos, and we're trying to break them down all over the world.
And that was Paul's goal, to help the resources in the community stop working in silos, work together, collaborate, so that we can help families get out of crisis. What we provide, 100 families in the Restore Hope initiative, what we provide is a collaborative case management system that anyone can get trained on, anyone can be able to be on a care team for a family and communicate in a HIPAA compliant manner on behalf of a family in crisis.
Oh, now let me ask you to repeat that. So any of us here might be trained to do your case management, as long as we're keeping it confidential? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, and you have to sign a confidential waiver and training. And I have a little QR code here if you're wanting to be trained. Now, there are two parts. You can use this as your case management system for your agency, or you can use it as what we call a connector. So if you provide a service or know someone that provides a service, you can be added to the care team. Those are two separate trainings. One is all day, like all day, 8 hours. One is an hour and a half, just as a connector, and that's explained on the flyer as well. So you have two ways to be actively involved. You can just refer a family to 100 families. And you can refer, you can anonymously refer, or you can refer and actually be trained to be on the care team so you can follow along with their progression or regression. So what happens is, once that assessment is done, we see where those families' needs are, and we build a care team according to the areas of crisis or the areas of need. And whoever provides that service, whatever provider provides that service, we're adding them to that care team. And we're working together to help families move out of crisis. Then I want to go back to what else we do as an alliance. We invite, that's where we met you. So we invite the community to what we call our alliance meetings. An alliance meeting is where we come together. We have one topic of discussion. We bring panelists in. So we have a panel of providers or community partners or whoever, whatever the topic is, and we're discussing those themes, and we're not just talking. We don't just meet to meet. We're meeting, we're connecting, we're networking, and then we're going back and we're doing the work in the community that needs to be done. So when we met, let me go back to the GDI. There are 3 legs to GDI. There's the law enforcement leg, where they focus on identifying the small group of individuals that drive most of the violence and communicating clear consequences for the continued violent behavior. There's the community representatives. That is the trusted community leaders, clergy, survivors, influencers who speak with moral authority, and they actually convey a unified message that the violence must stop. Then there's the support and outreach services. That's the social service providers, reentry specialists, case managers who offer the real help and pathways away from the violence, such as job training, housing, counseling, education, and mentorship. So I just started a 3-part panel alliance meeting. So my first one, where Will was on the panel, he and Casey from the prosecutor's office, we had Department of Youth Services, and then we had the Chief of Police. That was my first panel that we just had. panel focused on the law enforcement, from the DYS, from the chief of police. Next month, we're gonna have the moral leg. We have two mothers that are going to tell their story about how they lost their sons to gun violence. And then Kelly's on that panel as well, because Kelly worked with those two moms and has a great relationship with them. And then in September, we have invited Judge Brown. I think the sheriff will be there, and I'm waiting on the mayor to see if his schedule will allow. But everyone's invited to our alliance meetings. It's open to the public. We'll have more information you can share.
You got my email, you send it, I'll get it out.
And our goal is to help families get out of crisis. Move from crisis all the way to thriving, ultimately to a career. And with the help of the prosecutor's office and where we're meeting these families, hopefully the violence will stop. If we all can work together, we bring GBI, we continue our partnerships with all of the community partners, all the resources in the community, I think we can be a big help to the families here in Black County.
How much of a commitment are we signing up for? If I wanted to be one of your volunteers, and I'm signing on forever, or how do you manage that?
So you can sign on, are you talking about with 100 families, or are you talking about with GBI? Because it's two separate initiatives.
Well, let's call it
on.
GVI. That's the hotline of the moment.
Okay. So GBI, the commitment, actually, that's going to be discussed. That's what the assessment is. That's what the 1 year assessment, when they come in, tell us. Because based on our population, based on our data, based on our numbers, that's going to be all given to us from that assessment of the whole GBI team when they come in and assess us as a community. And it's going to be basically job descriptions will be made. Volunteer hours will be assessed on what we will need. So that'll be done hopefully when we start this fall. And we can get that information out.
And what might my job be under this kind of activity?
Under GBI,
I'm not really as clear as I might be.
under GBI, what are the jobs for volunteers? I'm not fully aware of what those jobs would be.
Well, I think you had it pulled up. There's different, it kind of depends on where I don't think you'd fit in the law enforcement part. I don't think you want to be involved in that. But,
Right.
but the moral outreach and community support and all that, it's what the GBI will do, and I'm telling you, obviously after hearing from her, you know the wonderful things that Restore Hope and 100 Families has been doing. The one reason that I'm so super excited about the GBI is so much of what GBI does, and they come in and assess us and figure out what they're already doing. I mean, they're doing it right here. I mean, you can connect with that. So we're so far ahead because of them in so many ways.
Sounds like it.
And so that's why this partnership is just so, and you can tell, I hope that y'all have the same level of excitement that I do. Just seeing different parts of our community working together, marching to the same path to a goal of zero violence in our community is just, it's so far beyond anything I've done in my career. It's so uplifting and overwhelming. Sometimes it almost brings me to tears to see so many dedicated people that have the same mission and have almost been just waiting for some
Organizing
process
influence.
to get them all together.
And that's the thing, the organization piece of it, which is how, so I love the way Paul uses an analogy of a construction work or a contractor, right? If you're building a house, the contractor's job is to make sure everyone is in place that does what they do in an orderly manner, constructing it, right? You don't have the man that puts the roof on to come and put the roof on before the plumber and the electrician comes in and do his job. You don't send a family over to workforce if they can't pass a drug test. What if they don't have transportation? What if they need childcare? We're setting people up, right, for failure if we're sending them to a job knowing they don't have a place to stay, knowing that they need help with treatment. So
And they don't have a permanent address to get all of the activities of the modern world.
You correlate and we connect as agencies, and we don't provide a service. When I say we, 100 Families does does not provide the service. We provide the contracting of the needs.
You
So-
match up needs
Match
and
up needs
supply.
And have an action plan for that family so that they don't fail. And so what if they fall off, right? What if they do relapse, or what if they do?
Which there will be relapsing.
That will be there. So, guess what? That family addict comes back in, do a reassessment, okay, well, let's start where we need, and then we might bring somebody else in for their care team, because now they've lost their job and their car. So now we have to bring, so when you say what can we do to help, and what's the,
I was wondering if all of your people are paid staff.
we have paid staff, it's all of our family advocates.
At
our
Restore Hope.
coordinators, We are paid.
So you're a group with an address and a budget. Well, who budgets you?
So we have TANF funds, and our finance department, we operate strictly off of TANF. So our,
Which is,
temporary needs for the needy families. It's the temporary needs for that acronym, I know TANF. But we actually have funds that pay our staff.
so that's a state budget item, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, got it. All
And we
right.
have an in-house finance team that does all of our payroll and all that. However, when you say what can you do, you can refer families to us. If you provide a service or know anyone that provides a service in these 13 areas, we have to have services to wrap around the families. So if you want to refer, or if you want to help, if you know anyone that provides, food, housing, any of that, we need that information and get those agencies trained on our system so that we can communicate with them on behalf of those things.
So would you think that the modest first year effort we made about funding haircuts for improving self-esteem at back to school events would fit into your, we got somebody we will supply this, and we have over here a need to do this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I want to get a sense of how overwhelming we're going to sign up for the army of the improvers.
Right. But here's the...
Not sure we want to sign on till retirement, to be honest about it.
With the model, if we have enough haircuts, for instance, if we have enough barbers and enough salons on the system providing services, if they're too full, we can get this other barbershop to provide haircuts. You know what I'm saying? Not one service can provide that service alone.
Oh, no, no, no.
So if it does become overwhelming, that means we need more people providing that service to provide services. So the more providers, the merrier. The more the merrier. We have a lot of families in crisis. A lot.
And we have the ability to pick off a menu of activities that suit what we feel we're up to. That's the one thing I want to feel reassuring about our neighborhood leaders here,
Yes.
is they can learn about it and then pick off the menu.
Yeah, it's nothing too big or too small. I mean, I think any help is fantastic. I think we had a question. Do you have a question?
I did, and well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to both of you. I've been following this Hope for a while, and I'm just like, I thought they were so wonderful, but just hearing you speak and clarify is really making, more sense. So I appreciate that. And then, Prosecutor, I see you around. I'm with moms, and wear orange and all of that. So Moms Demand Action. So, you've been supporting us, and you do a lot of things. So, and I am super excited too about this whole, GBI. So thank you both. But what I was raising my hand for is when you were talking about the alliance panels that you have, because I was really trying to get our work to come, but I had a meeting. So I just wanted to find out, number one, is there a recording? And then my second, because I couldn't find a recording anywhere, so if you can let me know where I can find it.
Yes. And it's
You're going to
actually-
send me the link when
I'll
it's
send
up.
the link. I'll send everything to that. And we have a web page. We have podcasts. We have the recordings of the alliance meetings on our page. So I'll send all those links to you.
Okay, maybe it just hadn't been posted yet, because I think I was on the website and I didn't see it. But anyway, then my second question is it possible to have like a Facebook Live link where, because when I'm at work, I can't watch my phone.
That's good.
So,
We
if
will
that's a
definitely
possibility.
I will definitely let our AD team and let our reporters know.
Mary is live streaming this. If
Okay.
there might be a tech question, I know she could help your folks
Okay.
get up and going on that particular technology.
Yes,
I
so
want to ask real
live.
quick too, if the time gonna always be 9 o'clock?
So the one that's coming up in, well, this is August, so.
August 27th.
Oh, yeah.
This is August, so this one will be from 10 to 11:30.
Okay.
And we were asked to have it at that time because we're on the campus, of Arkansas Baptist,
Right.
and people can just go and have lunch at the cafeteria.
Okay.
And then next month, in
September.
September, I am actually waiting on the mayor's schedule for
Okay.
the time to confirm that one. But we're looking at probably morning.
Still.
So, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But we will definitely get back on live. I'll make sure I tell our team, because that's good. That's good. Thank you.
We found it good. We're just a little old pissant group that don't have a bunch of money, but we can pull that one off. So surely with more resources we're seeing in your hands, you can too.
That's right.
Well, yes, it's funny, but it's true. Let's be honest here. I just wanted to pause a moment and welcome the mom's representative. When Ms. Morchetti spoke to us in April, we got focused on the fact that guns are the #1 killer of teens,
And children.
and handgun safes should be promoted. And that, once again, is something that is within our ability. We're coming up on October the 7th, National Night Out celebrations. It's something that's gone on for some 40, 50 years. natw.org. You want to look up the background on that. But basically, the neighbors come together and have a variety block party with their police, crime watch, and community folks, and celebrate working common. And we decided we wanted to promote use of gun safes under a slogan we just made up, which is, real men protect their families by putting their guns in gun safes. And we've had a couple of horrific tragedies in the last 60 days. A 2-year-old and a 4-year-old shot and killed, and one at the hands of the other. And then there was another one, similarly, where the handgun was extracted and the kids shot and killed. And we can stop this. This is something that is tangible, that isn't going to be too expensive, that should be a gun safe vendor display at every neighborhood on October the 7th. And I found if you just Google gun safes near me, there's a couple of buildings in the city of Little Rock that sell. There are, of course, vast resources online from Amazon and company. And so the police chief is going to lend me his red and blue plastic guns from their training facility. And we're going to have, at this point, at least some pictures of the kinds of gun safes and the kinds of budgets that you have for these. It turns out one of the real problems the police have is stealing guns from cars that are turning up in violent crimes. And it turns out that one of the most economical and versatile types of gun safes is something the size of an 8x11 sheet of paper, just gun size, that is secured with a fingerprint, because they found the kiddies can manage the other locks they used to have in yesteryear. But it is secured at the corner with a very big steel cable. So you can bring this in and secure it to the leg of your bed and have your gun right handy in case of midnight intruders. When you travel, you can take it with you and secure it in the car to the base of the seat. And when you go into that motel room at night, you can secure it to the bed of that facility. And they're not going to get that without more trouble than they had time to put in. So I just want to put that in everybody's head. If you have a chance to promote that in your groups, please do. We might get up to some actual gun safes, and some vendors that might want to say, hi there, here's my gun safe, won't you buy it for me? But however far into that process we go, we're going to have at least some promotion of gun safes to keep families safe. And I hope that you incorporate that into your future messages, because that's something any neighborhood group can comfortably do on a shoestring.
Moms, we have our monthly meetings on first Tuesdays of every month. So when we had our meeting last week, I did bring that up, National Night Out.
Oh, good.
Yeah, for moms to be involved. Someone from the city was there because I was asking them if they knew the locations yet. And we know the date because it's always the first Tuesday of October. But that is our plan, is to have a presence. And I guess usually the more favorable program that we have is the gun safety, aspect. It's called Be Smart, which is exactly about what Ms. Wells was just talking about. It's about, securing guns.
You've got a great flyer
properly.
that has the shocker headline, "The chief killer of teens is guns." Is that besmart.org? Is that the
You can
website?
probably find it that way, but if you just Google moms or Google Be Smart, I don't know the exact website, but Be Smart is a program of moms, and that's what
Right.
it focuses on, is the safety. So what I wanted to say is, if you and I could connect, because if you're willing, or if you're already saying that you're going to work on the part of trying to get some
Gun safes on
guns-
display.
Yes, but that would be great to have that collaboration, and y'all can set the table up right next to us. And we could be promoting, essentially.
Do you
the same
have any
message
that
from
you bring
two.
out on display, would be my first
We
question.
do have some. I'm not a part of the Be Smart team, but I'm pretty sure that they have some.
We will
We've
speak
given them
afterward.
away
We will speak
at
afterward.
other events that have been. So yeah, I was just gonna say, let us find out how we can work together, because I don't know if we'll have enough volunteers to have a presence at all the different community locations, but if we can at least.
You
be
can
at
work it
one,
out. You
then
can work it out.
So yes, so let's definitely talk about that. And
All
thank you.
right.
But that's one thing I was going to think about. Imagine how involved Mama's Demand could be in some of these pieces too, right? I mean, a lot of what we talk about in GDI is you've got so many young people that think having a gun, displaying a gun, carrying around a gun, for one, they feel it's necessary, right? Or it's a status, all those things. Well, we talk about you have to, if we're going to get the guns out of their hands, we have to replace it with something else.
Yes.
And so it's just, again, there's so many things and so many parts to this around our community. And that's just why I think it's so exciting that, some of the places where it's been, it is, over 50% reduction in gun crime. When we're talking violence, we're talking gun violence. That's what it is, and that's the driver of it. And so if we can, the messaging can come from all different parts, and maybe for this individual, your message of safety resonates. Maybe for this individual, it is, if I don't stop, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in prison. Maybe that's what resonates. Maybe for this one, it's, I've got a little more help, I've got some more security at home and those kind of things, and that's encouraging me to get on a better path. Whatever, you're getting the message from all angles, and I think we've got a much better way of getting that message to resonate. And if I firmly believe, if we're sitting around this table, this group of people, if we're sitting around this table 2 years from now, we're talking about some successes. I absolutely believe that.
And we will.
We will.
So can I just say something, because you brought up that aspect of messaging, because it's this thought that I've just had in my head, like, if there was just money to be had, to do things, if there could be, like, dedicated public service announcements.
That's a part of it.
Oh, is it?
It is a
Because I
part
mean,
of
like you just said, replacing the gun with what? What are their ideas, that other things that you could do besides taking this, route? So what else you could be in your community besides the next perpetrator or victim we see on TV? You could be A, B, C, positive things.
Yes.
So if that's a part,
That's a part
so
of it.
happy
It is
to
a
hear
part of
about
it.
that.
Oh, that's a part dear to my heart.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine a publicity campaign
Yes.
built around some very appealing celebrity. It probably a sports hero. That's what seems to work these days, especially for teen males. That says, I have a gun, but I'm keeping my family safe, because real men put guns in safes.
So that is a part of it, and then we have the Smart Justice magazine, with the Store Hope, that we're putting a lot of funding in, because it is expensive, with the magazine, with our podcast, and then our community relationships that we're building with, I'm talking about with gaming, people that does gaming, things that you are interested in, even the short track of getting there, welding, CDLs, all of those things that ultimately is giving them something tangible once we take the guns away, we are having meetings right now and ongoing, and that's a part of the whole GBI model as well. So, yeah, we have to work together though. We have business owners that will work. It's a lot of work into getting this thing up and going and working. And talking to those involved. What is it that you want? What is it that's driving you? What, if you replace the gun, what is it that we need to replace it with? Because we gotta talk to them. Everyone's doing it. So it's all a part of the model.
And another side, it's all exciting. I keep using that word because it is. Every place that we've gone to and talked with people about this initiative, we've not gotten this pushback of, oh, that's outside my area, I can't do this. Everyone's excited. Everyone has the same look that I see around the table today. And I can see the wheels turning. Okay, I do this. I can help here. And it's like it's a force multiplier, right? You get, this may be a small little role that I can do, but if you plug me into this system, now you're part of this greater network.
Well, you're giving the average citizen who's not part of a paid prosecutor position or a paid agency position, the understanding they have a contribution to make that is going to be a solid success at their, let's call it comfort level, because that's honestly what it is. And that is very good news.
And it's also a responsibility. We have that, this is something, everybody talks about it, everybody complains about it, everybody wants, but this is such an opportunity to actually, like you said, have that responsibility to help our community. And I love what you said about we want to be sitting here in 2 years, because, a lot of people think, oh, it's a great idea, as you know, that would be naysayers, but it's true. But this sounds like you've got so many different people involved that are excited and want to make it work. I just applaud you on this too, and of course, you guys are doing that.
And I cannot not mention, this is a 2-3 generation approach, because we're going to start in like the elementary schools with the young kids and teaching about, gun violence, is one of but also literacy, and when churches get involved.
And that was something that Angela Tolbert was touching on us.
We have to get involved at a young age and wrap around not just that child in that school, but wrap around that entire family. Because when that child leaves school, they go back home to an environment that they're familiar with. But if we're not wrapping around that entire family, we can probably, help a little bit and make an impact on that child, but we have to wrap around the household.
One of the conversations Angela and I had was that very thing, and we imagined a family where you're dealing with teen troublesome Tommy, but he's got sister Susie who's 4 years old.
Right.
And then what comes across the news headlines is the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Remember that one?
Yeah.
That's something that we could help boost and that you could put on your checklist. Every one of your client families should be getting a Dolly Parton Imagination subscription. And then we persuade Tommy to read to Susie. And if older brother, ex-inmate, is coming out, same thing. He needs to be persuaded to sit down and read to Susie. And if is so often the case, his literacy is lousy, then you've got a way into that solution.
And then
So we would have such fun imagining these
go
fixes.
deeper. What about the pregnant mom? We have a lot of teenage moms that are pregnant.
The baby mamas we hear about.
The moms need reference. So we are even tapping into the baby the need programs, at Arkansas Children's Hospital, the UAMS. When those moms are pregnant and they're coming, they need resources, right? So we have a family advocate that can wrap around before that child is even born. But we have to do it together. It takes everybody's help together.
Yes, it does. And one of the things that we had also been sobered by, because they've not been talking about this, and I can understand why, because it's a really daunting statistic. But we've been looking at the community programs, prevention, intervention, treatment of the city, which we've been
staunch advocates for from day one. And we looked at their annual report for 24, a couple of months back, and they had 987 clients getting across their dozen contracts in that year. And I said, that's good. We still haven't managed to get out from them. Are you giving a client a return the next year, and following them on? They're apparently not managed that. So they're not the sustained and persistent that we're looking for. And I said, what's your target population? How many are at-risk youth in the city of Little Rock? How close are you coming to that wraparound of everybody in need? And I knew they had not gotten close to it, but they finally responded. I appreciate their honesty. They looked at some of the standard low-income census tracts, high-crime areas, teen dropouts, and so forth. They're calculated all together. We've got 9,800 teens at risk in the city of Little Rock today. And if 987 is what the city managed with the best will in the world, spending all their dollars last year, we have a gap to close. And I have a feeling you're one of the major closers of that gap. So I would encourage you to keep that number in mind. Now, he's right about the few percent creating so many of the problems. So that begins to change the shape of that 9,800. But it's still an important thing to keep in mind. I would encourage you to do. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Financial literacy. I haven't heard that mentioned. Is that included?
It is. That's one of our money management, that's one of our areas of crisis.
Okay.
Financial and money management.
Wonderful.
Those brochures have been sent out in the previous week. If you don't have it, then email me and I'll send it to you again.
Okay, thank you.
But this is all lead up stuff. Anyone got any other questions? This has been so encouraging, and I hope that we will manifest in your setup in the days ahead. I look forward to the flyer for August 27th, September 24th. We'll get some more folks out then. We're down by a couple of our stalwarts today. One is traveling, as you might suppose, in August, and the other is in the family grouping to attend a birth. So they'll be back next time. But I'm going to say thank you very much for everyone. We will continue to be in close touch. This was live streamed. The recording will be posted on the Facebook page at clrn.ar. This is the conclusion of the August 9th meeting of the Coalition of Little Rock Neighborhoods. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you.